David,
You live?
we are live
Okay.
on February 29th. Intimate ZVX with Stoic, episode 11. I am Stoic Nuvo.
Stoic regret. This is
Um,
video one, right? Yeah,
this
video number
is
one.
this is video number 1. We have a ZvP on Shakura's Plateau, and
Link
we had a
stocks.
request for an all-in Blink Stalker off 2 base. So I don't know. There's no shortage of that on the ladder. So David only had to look for like 13 seconds to find a replay. All right.
All right, let's do
Are
it.
we all set?
Mm-hmm.
Let me just get in game here.
Patented Stoic Esports time.
41 seconds.
Hell yes.
Okay, ready?
Just for those of you out there that don't know, every time you queue up a replay to 41 seconds, we pocket $50.
You actually owe us the money. So you
Yeah.
can't pause at 41 seconds.
So if you don't have $50,
Don't do it.
Don't pause at 41 seconds.
All right. 3, 2, 1, play.
Slowest countdown of all time.
Yeah, it was pretty slow. I'm going to speed it up next VOD.
All right, so this is going to be a very standard opening against an assumed Forge expansion. So I'm going to be going 3 base, no gas, until about 45 to 50 supply.
Now, can you elaborate on the timings here a little bit? Like, if you're expecting an all-in Blink Stalker, first of all, when do you have to scout it, and when do you expect it to come?
Okay, well, there are 2 main Blink Stalker all-in timings. One of them is +2, I think this is the +2 one, the +2 attack one, where they get their Twilight extremely fast, which allows them to chrono out the upgrades. So by the time +2 finishes, they push out. And the other one is where they build a lot of gates first, then they move out, and Blink barely finishes when they're basically at your base. So that push is a little bit faster, but it's not +2. I believe it's +1 or at most 1-1. So I think the most common one nowadays would be +2, because attack is obviously a lot better in this situation. And it hits at about 10:30 to 11 minutes, depending on when he wants to move out. It is comfortable to move out with 3 or 4 sentries and a few stalkers. So if you see him out on the map, don't be alarmed. He can't actually kill you until the next warping comes. So we'll go over what we can scout for and how to macro accordingly, so you can be sure that you have enough units for the attack. But as is, I'm just trying to get my hatch down as fast as possible. He lets me take it, so that's really good for me. I'm gonna build my my 4 Zerglings here ASAP though, just in case he tries to cannon or do some kind of a weird wall off. It's just not worth it. Getting the queen a little bit earlier and then losing to that. So my overlord placement there, I'm just gonna make sure I go over that little bush area in the top left corner of my natural second base, just so that he cannot sneak a pylon there.
Ah, the sneaky pylons.
Yeah, that area is quite good on this map. Not only can it be used later for warpins if you don't scout it because of the bush area, so it's fogged off, or they can just go on the high ground and build cannons, which is really annoying. So, sending one link to scout that location to free up space so I can safely take my third. And you always want to get the second queen as soon as possible after the first one, because you don't want to miss injects. So, injects are very important when stopping off pushes like this if you're going to be on low-tech units. And I can't stress that enough. There are a ton of Zergs who start off doing this type of build, and they're holding it off the all-in Blink Stalker push with just Lings and Roaches. And the timings of when they're building things and when they're teching and when they're upgrading is exactly the same. But if you miss one inject, that's an entire round of units. And in an all-in that's this close, it makes a huge difference. One missed inject means you're going to have almost 6 less roaches, maybe even 5 less roaches. In a push like this, and roach count is pretty much everything because it has to be retained. Having less roaches means that when you're building up your army, you might have to build roaches instead of lings at that point because you missed the rotation and you don't have enough roaches yet. And that's bad because if you're building roaches as he's moving out, roaches build a lot slower than lings do. And also the distance that they have to travel from the hatch that's furthest from where they're attacking. So a bunch of these things added up together, you got to be really careful.
Are you relying on your overlord to scout this every time, or?
Usually you can guess by the timing of how many sentries he has. I will go over that. So right now it doesn't really matter whether he's taking our gases or not. It's not really going to tell me anything. Although he should be taking. There we go. Yeah, he's taking them now, uh, because he needs a lot of gas to support the +2 upgrade plus the blink. So right now I'm just basically droning up. You're usually about 90% of the time comfortable to drone up without worry up to about 50 supply, which is why I usually take my gases at about this time. And then you want to use that ling that's in front of his base to see if he's sending anything at you, so you know whether to build lings or not. So at this point, just macroing up as best as I can, transferring drones. Always transfer drones. You want to be as evenly mined as possible across your 3 bases. So my 2 gases are up. I'm going to put down my roach warren now at about 7 minutes. And that gas that he took was quite late, so the threat of Stargate is quite low. And even if there is going to be a Stargate build, it's not going to be enough for me to have to build spores prematurely. I can fend it out with just queens. So I'm getting this extra queen here at my second base to spread creep. And at this point, he hasn't sent anything at me, so the first thing I'm thinking of here is this has to be some kind of a tech build. So he's either going to be going into Immortals, Colossus, Warp Prism, maybe Stargate. Very unlikely that it's DTs because his gas timing was so late on the 3rd and 4th gas. And of course, the other option is just a blink all-in, or a blink to expand, but generally it's about the same thing. Because he's still going to have a lot of units, So at this point, I'm going to build my macro hatch. And the reason I put this macro hatch down here is because I don't really need to tech at this point. Usually I want to go mutas in this matchup. But going mutas as fast as possible is really only good if you're up against something that can't just outright kill you. For example, if he's doing that blink all-in push, and I go into a build where I'm teching up to mutas as fast as I can, then if he does actually attack me as my mutas are popping out, the damage I can do by harassing him will not win me the game because he can just outright kill me, and I can't directly fight him because mutas are really bad in a straight-up fight. So right now I'm thinking, of course, it's going to be a Stargate, or a late Stargate, or a late double Stargate, which is why I'm putting these spores, reactionary spores down. But of course we know that his tech route is going to be into blink instead. And if you don't overlord scout his base, there's no way of actually telling. But at this point I have so many drones, I don't think it's an incorrect move to build the spores prematurely like this. So I'm going...
You're late layer tech here too.
Yeah, like I said, I don't see the need to layer tech if you know that he's doing something that's basically going to be designed to kill you. I mean, he could be taking a 3rd here, but if he takes a 3rd at this time, it's going to be off of something really weird like 2 to 3 Immortals. So now I see him moving out. I'm just going to make sure with my Ling at the Zalnaga Cavern that it's not a 3rd base. So that's why I have that there. So right now it looks like it's a 3rd base, but he is going to be moving across now. So now it's obvious to me that he's going to be going all in, most likely with blink. So at this point you want to stop droning. I have way more than enough drones that I can support these 4 hatches on. I don't want to miss injects, and I want to build as many units as I can. So this roach count that I'm building here, the reason why I'm doing this is because I know he has to set up a pylon, so I have time to allow these slow building roaches to come out into the field. But when he attacks me, I don't want to build any more roaches. I want to build nothing but lings. So now I know it's blink for sure. The good part here is even if he blinked into a DT tech, I have spores, so I'm covered in that aspect. So right now all I'm worrying about is trying to pump out as many lings as I possibly can. So here he's going to come and engage, and you're going to see I have a ton of units. So it's very good for him to waste force field like that. Try to get him out of position. Try to bait them as much as you can until you have the army that you want. So you can do that visually. So now I see that he's going to let me have this huge spread, and he doesn't have enough sentries to be able to force field that much, which is why he gets overrun here. And that's really the only downfall of a push like this, the lack of sentry count.
So you stayed on tier 1 for, I think that's kind of helped
Yeah.
in allowing you to handle this.
Yep, and the transition here, I know that this Blink Stalker push is going to fail, but I also know that I still need to transition into something. So I'm going to be going into Infestus here instead of Mutas, because he already has Blink, and he's probably going to be warping in a ton of Stalkers after this. So me going Mutalists would not really make any sense at all. So at this point I'm investing everything into Lings, because the Infestors are going to be a heavy gas deposit, so I want to save up all my gas and pump units into purely mineral deposit, which is why I'm building links here. But I am building roaches, and that's weird. Oh, it's because I have a lot of gas. So I'm timing this out. The reason why I'm building the roaches here is because by the time pathogen gland's finished, I'm gonna have enough gas to build like 6 or 7 infestors anyways. So shouldn't be a problem.
Nice. Now what if he just turtled here and took a third?
Yep, that's fine. That's why you have to continue to tech up. Don't get into to the mindset, oh, that was an all-in, the game's over. I'm just gonna keep building roaches and lings because Protoss does have the ability,
No, I mean,
if they have very good engagements.
what if
turtle.
he just used that army to just take a third instead of moving out?
I would definitely attack him, and it's actually a really good attack if he's investing so little into sentries like that, because I actually will kill him just the way that we fought when he attacked me. And if he invested into more sentries, then I just have to recognize that it's some kind of a high-tech build. Usually you do that if you want to go into Immortals or Colossus, in which case I would be putting down mutas and going into mutas.
And you can break it? You can break his front?
You don't have to break it, you just have to use it as a transition to something else. I mean, one lucky run by can end the game, but if you can't run by and he's force building properly, then the game keeps going and you're going to Mutalisks, which you should be able to build a lot of because you have primarily Lings in your army.
Okay. Is Infestor still the play, though, if you attack when he's taking the third?
Like I said, if he has the army that he had in this game, it wouldn't work because he doesn't have enough sentries to defend. So the attack would have been the same as when he attacked me. Like, I still would have won. 4 sentries is not enough. But if he had more sentries, then I would just tech into Mutalisks, and his army would be a lot stronger. I mean, sorry, a lot smaller, because sentries are very gas heavy.
Yes, quite.
So yeah, at these points, these overlords, these infestors are a little overkill. I am hype teching. This is not necessary, but it's just to show you should get into the habit of continuing to tech up. Because if he does hold these pushes, you do need to continue to tech up to maintain your advantage, because you already have an economic advantage. So,
This motherfucker left the game.
alright, so that's Blink Stalker.
Blink, Stalker, all-ins. I like it. I lose to that quite frequently. I think I lose more, though, when they just turtle up, though. They don't go Blink. They go Stalker, though, Sentry, and they just turtle up and take a third.
I will do the next game, a late game PvZ then.
Excellent.
Alright,